Okay, welcome to English 112. This is section 64. We are a short session, which is one of the most important things that I need to point out in this video. So because we're a short session, our class lasts only 8 weeks, which means that there is going to be a quick turnaround time on assignments, and you're going to have to absolutely be very proactive and stay on top of things because we are going to move fairly quickly. So the purpose of this video is to just talk to you a little bit about the syllabus, tell you a little bit about the course, and what you should expect for this next 8 weeks. So we are English 112. My information is posted here at the top. I am Jordan Billington. I am a part-time adjunct at Central Piedmont Community College. I also work full-time at UNC Charlotte. So if at any point you need to reach me, the best way to get in touch with me is via email, and I've listed my email address here at the top, jordan.billington@cpcc.edu. Fairly easy to remember. I do respond to emails within 1 business day, so that is the easiest way to get in touch with me. If at any point in the semester we need to meet or have an appointment, I do take meetings or appointments, but they have to be scheduled ahead of time, so by appointment only. And I'm available to meet you online through email. Maybe we need to do some real-time chat functions such as Google Hangouts or Skype, any of those types of electronic communication forms. We can also have a phone meeting if you prefer, or if a face-to-face meeting is just something that you think needs to happen, we can set that up through our division office at any point in the semester. So if we need to meet at any point, just feel free to shoot me an email. Okay? So the description of this course, just to give you a quick rundown, is this course is the second in a series of 2. All of you guys have finished English 111, so hopefully in that course you have learned things like MLA formatting. You've got a really strong base from which to build as we move into more argumentative and research writing. So we're going to be looking specifically at analyzing and evaluating research and incorporating that research into our own writing, into our own writing text. So I'll let you read through the descriptions and the course objectives on your own, since that is a lot of information. And if you have any questions as you're going through it, please feel free to contact me specifically and ask me about anything. So we'll move through here. We'll talk about the core competencies. I'll let you read through that as well. There are 2 textbooks for our course. The first one is the Practical Argument. It's the 2nd edition, and the other is the Easy Writer Handbook. If you have a previous edition of the Practical Argument textbook, please contact me ahead of time. I've had students who have used it in the past and have been successful with it, but it will mean that the page numbers more than likely are not going to line up, so we will have to, it'll take some sort of research on your part to figure out and to map out where you are in the previous edition. So for our course, what you'll need is Microsoft Word. You'll also need internet access, of course. And then lastly, Blackboard. Everything in our class is going to be posted in Blackboard. So we'll have a course in Blackboard, and it'll contain all the information that you need for our course. All the assignments, all the due dates, all the materials, everything you could ever need is going to be posted in Blackboard. So my expectations, I'm going to expect you to attend online classes and participate. I know that with an online class, attending and participation sounds a bit bizarre, but you are still required to attend, and that's a Central Piedmont Community College. It's just a rule, because it's been proven that students who aren't attending class are not able to be successful. So what does that mean for an online class? We'll talk a little bit about that more when we get a little further down the syllabus, but basically it means that I'm going to be expecting you to actually be participating in the classroom. I'm going to be expecting you to participate in discussion. I'm going to expect you to submit assignments each week for whatever is due that week, and I'm going to expect you to be logging in continuously and checking to make sure that you're completing everything that you need to be completing. I'm going to expect that you are working on your computer skills and becoming more familiar with Blackboard, that you already have a really strong foundation in Microsoft Word, that you have other access to things such as PowerPoint or Prezi. I'm going to expect that you read and understand the syllabus and comply with all the policies outlined in it. The biggest one, I think, is to be proactive. In an online class, it does require you to be a more proactive student. If you have questions about something, I do hope that you will ask questions. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I want, especially if you're unclear about something that we're working on or a particular assignment. I want to make sure that my expectations are clearly explained. So if at any point you have questions, please feel free to communicate with me. I expect that you're prepared each week for discussion boards so that you're reading the necessary pages in your text and that you're completing the assignments. I'm going to expect you to be respectful of each other's writing. So at certain points in our semester, I'm going to give you the option to participate in peer review, and I'm going to expect that you are being respectful of each other's work. And as I want us to build a class where we are respectful to each other, or where there's mutual respect between all of us, classmates, and then between the instructor and myself and all of you. That's really important. And then of course, I want you to turn in all your work on time. Late assignments will not be accepted at any point in the semester unless it's discussed and approved by me ahead of time. So if something comes up and it's going to prevent you from completing an assignment, communicate that with me. Just let me know. Give me some time so that I am aware of that. And your assignments are all due Sunday night by midnight, so don't email me on Sunday night to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to get it in. If something pressing has happened that's going to keep you from doing your work, please let me know as soon as possible, okay? You're also going to be expected to check your email and discussion boards often. I would absolutely recommend that you do it every day. Your CPCC email is the only avenue of communication that I have for each of you, and that's so that I can verify the identity. So if you're emailing me from a personal email account, I have no way of knowing or verifying that you are actually the student enrolled in my course. So make sure that you're using your CPCC email. Make sure that you own all the textbooks that are required by the second week of class. Exceptions to this rule are rare, and the grading penalties will apply because there are going to be some things in our textbooks that we're doing in that second week of class, so you're going to want to make sure you have the right text. All exceptions to any of the policies in the syllabus, depending on the situation, may be granted ahead of time, ahead of a deadline, but do not expect any exception after a deadline has passed. So I'll let you read through expectations for communication. There's a couple things that I do want to point out, though. I mentioned that I will respond to emails within 1 business day. Keep in mind that means that if you email Friday night, you're going to hear from me on Monday morning. I do work during the day, as I'm assuming some of you do as well. So there's a good chance the majority of our interaction is going to take place in the evenings, because that's just going to be the most convenient time for me to be able to respond to you. But do give me 1 business day. I do like to respond to emails pretty quickly. I don't like for them to sit in my inbox. So I will get back to you as soon as possible. The other 2 things that I want to point out is that I do expect respectful communication from you at all times. I want email correspondence that's formal and clear. I don't want any text language. An example of this is LOL or the letter U for you, things like that. That kind of stuff I'm not going to tolerate. And since I teach more than 1 section of the same course, I want you to indicate in the course, in the email, that which course you're enrolled in. So for us, just to give you an example, this is not, we're not section 84, we're section 64, but that's just to give you an example. And I understand there are going to be times that you're frustrated. Maybe you've got a grade or an assignment that you're frustrated with, and we all get frustrated. However, at no time are you allowed to resort to disrespectful communication with me. So typing in all capital letters, using profane language, threatening, name calling, anything that I deem disrespectful. Because if you write me an email that I consider to be disrespectful, you will receive a failing grade from our course, period. And that's just because I'm going to be respectful to you. I expect that you, of course, will be respectful to me. Okay? So if you scroll down a little bit more, this talks a little bit about an online course. There are some training opportunities for students, especially if you're new to distance education. So if you contact the CBCC e-learning website, and I've supplied you a link here or the help desk, and I've given you a phone number and an email for them, there are different training classes that you can participate in just to give you a foundation from which you can build. I think our course is relatively easy to navigate, but if you're new to online learning, it can be a bit overwhelming. So I would definitely encourage you to check that out if you have the time. If we scroll down a little bit further, grading policies, as you probably already know, CPCC operates on a 10-point grading scale. So a 90 to 100 is an A, an 80, this should actually be an 80 to an 89 is a B, a 70 to a 79 is a C, and so on. And the way our course is broken down is as follows. There are 3 major written assignments you'll do for me this semester. The first one being a question paper. It's worth 10% of your final grade. The second one, a debunking stereotypes assignment, is worth 15% of your final grade. And your argument paper is last, and it's worth 20% of your final grade. All of these combined are worth 45% of your final grade, so it's a large chunk, of course, because we are a writing intensive course. You'll notice that the percentage weight goes up, increases with each assignment, and that's because as the semester goes on, I'm going to be expecting that you are improving. I'm also going to be expecting that you're asking questions and you're learning and you're getting stronger as writers and you're getting stronger as your own critics and your own reviewers, and I want you to be thinking about the review process and the revision process. So over time we're going to be thinking about the writing that we're composing, and each assignment is going to become more stringent in requirements as we go on. So that's just something to be aware of now. In addition to the major written assignments, 30% of your final grade is focused on classroom activity assignments, of which there are 3 you'll do for me, one of which is the citation assignment, one is the reading assignment, and one is the thesis assignment. So each of these are worth 10% of your final grade for a total of 30%. Participation is the last one. It's worth 25%. I know that participation seems a bit bizarre in an online course, but it's very important to me because it means even though we are in an online course, I don't want any student to feel like they're on a desert island alone. I want us to be a well-oiled machine. I want us to be communicating and working together. And so because of that, participation is really important to me. So in this 25% section are discussion boards, responses to discussion threads, any and all quizzes throughout the semester, and then the final course evaluation form are all considered in that participation category. Okay. So just a note about the discussion boards and activities, because the discussion boards are really important, it's not a complete this assignment, get credit for it. As a general rule, I am looking for a minimum of 250 words for each discussion post, but I'm giving you points. You're earning points for the thoughtfulness and the thorough nature of your responses in post. So I'm going to be grading you on effort, and I'm looking for students who are putting forth effort and are responding to their classmates in meaningful and respectful ways. So I will evaluate the level of effort placed in your responses. For attendance, we talked about this briefly above, but attendance and participation in online discussions is key for success in English 112, so students must complete the assignments for each week in order to be marked attending. So if more than 2 weeks go by, more than 2 absences, which represents 2 weeks of non-participation in online discussions or failure to submit any work for 2 weeks, will result in a failing grade automatically. That's when I will mark you as stopped attending, and at that point you are marked with a failing grade. And so just a reminder that CPCC policy does require class attendance. Even in online class, attendance is very important and it is crucial to your success in our course and future courses. And this is just a note about the policy itself. I do want to point out that the census date is January 23rd for our spring semester. If you have not completed the EVA assignment by that date, then you will not be allowed to stay enrolled in the course and to continue the course. So make sure that you're completing that date by the census date of January 23rd. The withdrawal date we'll talk about a little bit later, but I do want you to know that if you violate the attendance policy, you're absolutely able to stay in the course to participate, but you will still remain a failing grade for the course. So make sure that you are participating each week. I have given you some information down here that talks about library sources and MLA citations and information that I would absolutely encourage you to read up on. The withdrawal date I mentioned before, but the last date to withdraw from our class is February 19th. So I've got a little while, but do keep that date in mind. It is your responsibility. If you do decide to withdraw from my class, I want you to let me know. Shoot me an email. Let me know that you're going to withdraw. But you do have to formally withdraw through the registrar's office in order to be officially withdrawn from our course. So, and this talks a little bit about what that process looks like. So there's a couple more things that I do want you to read. I want you to read up on this disabilities portion. I want you to read up on the plagiarism, because plagiarism is very serious. It's one of the things, especially in English course, that you want to be aware of. And plagiarism, by the way, just as a note, self-plagiarism is a thing. So submitting a paper that you submitted in a previous class is plagiarism, even if you're plagiarizing off of yourself. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then below here we've got information on tutoring and academic assistance, so that can help you. And lastly, a note just to remind you that I do expect you to be respectful of each other's viewpoints and opinions at all times. So in a writing course, sometimes it's a very vulnerable process to be a writer and to put your thoughts on paper. So it is important that we are operating under a mutual respect relationship. And that's it for now. So this is a really quick video to talk about a very large document and a lot of information. So please read through it, and if you have questions, let me know.